Welcome to the Aliens and Cowboys podcast. I'm with Garrett and Joe as usual, and we have a special guest tonight, Ryan, who's joined us.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course, anytime.
And I'm going to jump right into Joe to defend himself because he didn't have a chance last week.
That's true. I did not. There were some shots fired regarding my list, which is fine. I did want to clarify. Now, before I clarify, I should say that my list will still stand regardless of why I feel the need to defend it. But there were some shows that would likely have made it on this list, but I did restrict myself to shows that I have seen in their entirety, whether that is up through current seasons that have been released, so even if the show itself hasn't been completed yet, or obviously a series that has run its course in its entirety. I restricted myself to that, so Breaking Bad comes to mind. Love everything I've seen about it. Have not finished the series. I disqualified it for myself.
Fair enough.
To include on the list, okay? So
fair enough.
To clue you into where my mind was at with that. Also, Garrett, you mentioned at the outset, which I found hilarious, that do you only have Netflix? And pretty much is the answer to that. I have Prime. I do have Amazon Prime as well. But I don't spend much time watching shows on there. I know I'm missing out on a lot. I know there's a lot of cool shows on Amazon Prime, but there's just so much content and material out there that Netflix got the app on my TV and my Xbox, and that's just what I gravitate toward and what I stick with. So,
out of convenience, I will just go ahead and say there is an Amazon Prime app.
Yeah, there is. That's true.
Just saying that. Okay. So how about this? So tonight's episode with special guest Ryan tonight, we're going to talk about our top 5 action movie stars. Okay. Some of us did the correct criteria, which is going from 1990 to the current. Others, for whatever reason, read the text message as only the 90s.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
Yeah, I don't think any of the listeners are going to be shocked. So, again, tonight we'll break down top 5 action movie stars, and we'll get into that conversation of what makes an action movie versus an adventure movie, an action star going forward. But before we do that, Joe, you wanted to bring up something that they kind of did a grand opening recently.
Yes, absolutely did. Galaxy's Edge finally opened in Anaheim, California, specifically. That location opened first. So if you all are out in Disneyland, definitely check out Galaxy's Edge, the new Star Wars land, if you will, that opened up. It looks amazing. Yes. I don't know if you guys have seen the footage and pictures of the initial experience, but it looks
they have
awesome.
A life-size scale of the Millennium Falcon that you can go in. It's huge.
It looks awesome.
Whoa.
And they've got the same for A-Wings, X-Wings. Yeah. There's a life-size Wampa that's over 12 feet tall. I mean, the whole thing looks insane. And Disney has been lauded for many years for how well they're able to control the experience and of their crowds. I know for anyone who's been to Disneyland or Disney World, it might not seem like that when you're stuck in a line behind families with a bunch of kids or whatever the case may be. But really, when you think about the crowd sizes there, it's pretty incredible. And it seems from what I've read that they kind of control this in waves. So you have a set window of time that your group will be at Galaxy's Edge.
Yes.
So you don't really feel too pressed for time, I don't think, to see all the different attractions or do the different rides that they have. So then you aren't having just literally everyone that's going to Disneyland that day trying to get to Galaxy's Edge at the same time.
Yeah.
They stagger that experience.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great way to do it.
So about 18 months ago, went to Disney World, went to Disneyland this last year, going back to Disneyland or Disney World in February when I think Star Wars will be open down in Florida.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you, my fiance just plans out everything to the T. And we don't have kids, so we're able to kind of get in, get out, move quickly through the crowds, don't have to push a stroller.
Strollers, probably.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But going as a couple with no kids, you can just really sprint ahead. The benefit, though, is, like Joe said, that they do a really good job of moving people to places they need to go. And so they have these things they utilize the fast pass, right?
Yeah,
so you don't have to wait. You have some people that will wait in line and some people that can cut ahead. And you're only allotted so many. So it's not like everybody gets, you can, I don't know, you get a couple every, hour or so. I'm sure someone's, telling me that that's not correct. But you do get a certain set allotted and then you can replenish it. And it helps move lines faster, keep people going. And that way they're not pissed because they've been in line for 2 hours for a roller coaster, and then get pissed because they get the next line for 2 hours, and all of a sudden they went on 3 rides for 8 hours, But it's an interesting concept. But I mean, I'm excited. I'm hoping to get there in February 2020.
Very cool.
So I wanted to bring something up, and I was very disappointed. I learned today that Sneaky Pete, the Amazon show, got canceled. And it was kind of interesting because I believe one of the network executives had come out and said this was their second largest streaming show or highest rated streaming show, even though they don't actually release streaming numbers at Amazon, so you can't really tell which one's number one. And it was just interesting for them to cancel it. I don't know if they're going to pick it up on another network. I know CBS originally had it but dropped it, and Amazon picked that up from them. But really frustrated with that because really solid third season, really good show.
And you guys brought something interesting up to me, is that they kind of freelance these, right? So they sell them to the different networks. So this could easily go to a different streaming service.
Kind of like, so Joe kind of explained it like Longmire.
Yeah.
Like Longmire was on what, A&E?
A&E, I believe.
And Netflix picked it up after they canceled it after the 4 seasons, and Netflix picked it up for the last couple seasons. So shows can switch. Last Man Standing with Tim Allen.
Yeah.
Switch networks.
Very true.
And the Mindy Project did on Fox, too.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yep.
has anything ever gone from streaming service to network TV?
That's
I don't think so.
I don't think it
Yeah.
has.
I don't know.
We've seen networks change, but not streaming services. At least
Yeah.
not yet, I don't think. So
Good call.
Yeah.
No, and I it was interesting because I also kind of mentioned this to you guys before the podcast started. I was reading an article about the Hollywood Reporter today, or in the Hollywood Reporter, they were talking about will streaming services, to continue to make their audiences happy in this competitive market they have, try to keep shows that are new and not keep shows that are long in like perpetuity there. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, not go 6, 7 seasons deep, do 1, 2, 3 seasons, cancel the show just to bring in something new. You know, and it is apropos because we talked about bad TV show endings, and it's what's worse, letting the show go 7 seasons and not liking the ending, or then canceling it after 3 seasons and really not liking the ending.
I think that would make me even more mad to have the start to a show that seems like it will be really good. It's going along really well for a couple seasons, and just have the rug pulled out from under you with no resolution whatsoever.
I'd contradict you on that because,
fair enough.
You know, in hindsight, you look at an ending and you say, "Oh, that was okay," or "That was appropriate for the ending," or whatever. But it's hard to look back, and it's easy to look back when someone ends a show and then subject themselves to how they review it from that point. But just to leave it on a hanging note, that offers them the opportunity to come back at a later date.
Yeah, but if they don't ever come back to it, it's really tough. So there's a show that was on Stars for a while that I really enjoyed called Magic City.
Okay.
And it starred Jeffrey Dean Morgan as like a 1970s mob show.
Oh.
Kind of interesting. It was based on like real life events of dealing with Cuba, stuff like that. Stars had it 2 seasons, ended it. But I believe after their 2nd season, they did not know it was ending because it got canceled in the off season, basically. Therefore, the show never has a good ending.
Right.
But if you've never seen that as a mafia show, it's surprisingly good.
Are you leaving on a high note?
That show, no.
Yes,
I mean, it was good, but I don't know. I don't like Sneaky Pete, the way they ended the 3rd season. I want more of it. Like, it's not just that it was a good season. There's no... Like, the whole basis of the show is he is tricking a family into thinking he's somebody else. So at some point, you're thinking the family has to realize he's somebody else because that's what the anxiety in the show is.
Okay.
And if we never get to that conflict, then the show's just like, this guy was that good of a con man. He just tricks them the whole time.
He's got away with everything. Yeah.
And he just walks away. I mean, then they're great. But essentially, you have to assume that he's going to get caught by the family and have to work his way into it, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. I will say, while I certainly don't like the trend if they were to just let a season run, or let a show, run for a couple seasons and then cancel it without any resolution, that would not be okay with me. However, I am supportive of the decision to focus on creating from the outset 2 to 3 seasons that they know will only be 2 to 3 seasons of a show. Write what you need to write, wrap it up. Don't drag it out. Once you start dragging a show out, you experience so many other problems with it.
Well, that's the debate we had in the previous episode, right? Is when you know that this is your closing, this is your end date, you can change the story, you can pace that story to end at that particular date, right?
Okay. So let me ask you a couple questions, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just for you guys to know, Ryan was a college roommate of Nate and I's for a year. So, good friend of ours. We watched Chuck together.
Yeah.
It was a lot of times that Chuck kept coming back, not knowing when that show was going to end. Every year they had to do
The fans launched a campain and ended up getting sponsorship from Subway to continue.
Very cool.
But the thing
the previous sponsor didn't pan out.
But the idea was that they didn't know if every season would be their end, but they've always had discussions of would they come back with a movie. And it kind of brings me to like the idea of like the shows Prison Break and now Deadwood.
And Firefly did even years before that too.
That they didn't have a resolution to their show, so now they're bringing it back with the movie. Arguably, too, Sopranos had always been rumored until Gandolfini had passed away that there was potential for them to come back with a movie to wrap everything up versus now a prequel movie, right?
Yeah.
But thoughts on that as far as like shows like Deadwood not coming back to their show, but revisiting something that may be prematurely canceled and finishing it with a movie.
It doesn't bother me that much because I think it allows the show, or at least in like this instance, maybe it allows Netflix to get fan reaction from it. Otherwise, they're just wasting money continuing to fund the show that people can either give or take. So I think and nowadays you've got direct interaction between streaming services, through social media and that sort of stuff. In the old days they did letter writing campaigns, but how easy is it to ignore a piece of mail?
Yeah.
But I think it gives. I think it's smart for two reasons. One, it allows the streaming service to get a better idea of who's watching and how passionate they are about the show. Two, they save a hell of a lot of money by canceling one show and starting a new one from scratch with no run up to it. You can pay the actors and I'll give you $100,000 for a pilot, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it allows them, because they shell out crazy money in just licensing content, like The Office that constantly gets watched by millions of people every single day.
Every day. And I watch it every day too. Like you said, they paid $100 million for The Office for 1 year, so they wouldn't lose its rights.
That brings up such an interesting point about as far as how reportings go, right? Because a lot of people, it's so easy to reply online nowadays. Yes, no, I don't like it, the anonymity of it, as opposed to sending out a letter. Maybe you're busy, you can't respond, you abstain to that response. No. Do you just not, you may really like it, but you still abstain. And do you, I'm assuming you just get the extremes, right?
Probably. Because it's going to take a lot more passion to sit down and write a letter and send it off than to fire off a tweet while you're,
So I don't understand how maybe TV shows understand the demographics of how the viewership.
Listen, Tim McVeigh, people don't write letters anymore. You know what I mean? Like you said, they can be a Twitter troll and go out there and just kind of throw the grenade and walk away. It's pretty interesting. But let's get to why we're here tonight. So, top 5 movie action stars. The criteria was supposed to be
from the 1990s alone.
From 1990 to the current. Therefore, any movie made prior to 1990 could not be included in the filmography of the actor. And they were supposed to kind of come up with their top 5 ranked on whatever criteria they want. So whether it's eye test, you could do money making, you can do whatever you'd like.
What's the eye test?
Just, I don't know.
Did you enjoy it?
Quality over
quantity. Yeah. For instance, there's a movie that's probably not one of the more famous movies The Rock has done, but The Rundown I feel like is one of his best.
Yeah.
But it's not one of his more successful movies comparatively. So I would say eye test. Did you
enjoy it?
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoyable.
So we'll see what we did here. I've got a list, but we're gonna let I'm gonna let Joe start off tonight since Joe was not with us last night.
Oh, sure.
So Joe, let's do this. How did we define an action movie first?
Yeah, I think there is some overarching qualities that kind of contribute toward a good action movie just across the board. Obviously, there's different flavors, so to speak, that get applied to each action movie, such as the time period that they take place in and whomever you have starring in them.
And if you're trying to push your agenda like I will be during this podcast.
Yeah, that too. Definitely. But can we agree that action movies need a lot of stylized action sequences, of course? And what good is an action movie without some explosions?
Well,
that's kind of a mainstay, right? But overall, I think you can argue that some other movies, they have action sequences in them, and this is part of how I tried to kind of come up with my top 5
Okay.
is keeping it in a very strict action movie lane.
Okay.
So what I mean by that, my love of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings doesn't count. I don't consider them action movies just in a strict action movie sense. Okay?
Agreed.
So
what about Marvel movies?
yeah, Marvel movies, they kind of toe the line, I would say. I think there's, because of the ensemble cast in Marvel movies especially, those also can be viewed through a little bit different lens, but I'd say those are more of an action movie.
I mean, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I would say, like in reference to Marvel movies in general, there's too much story progression during a movie. Like an action movie should have plot line, conflict, and then you've got the action to resolve the conflict and resolution. Like it's very tight in one thing instead of spanning across.
Well,
Very true, yeah.
Well, let's be fair. So I did not put any Marvel movie on here.
Okay, yeah.
On this list, as I broke down these, by the way, I know we're supposed to pick 5. I selected 19 names. Okay, and I would like to break these not individually down, but
you're an overachiever.
As you guys go through your guys' lists, I want to have conversations about these particular people deep dive.
Okay, there will undoubtedly be some overlap.
Cross, absolutely,
while we go through this.
Probably quite a bit.
Yeah,
but for instance, I don't have the Marvel Avengers on here, but I've got the Expendables on here.
Yeah.
And it's arguably the same thing. It's an ensemble cast that comes together, and instead of superpowers, they just use guns and knives.
Well, that's the gimmick, though, is
Correct.
that it's action stars in the biggest action movie ever.
Which is still amazing.
Right.
Okay, so Joe, let's start with number 5 for you.
Number 5 for me.
Counting down to 1.
Correct, yes. So, Vin Diesel. Number 5 for me. Vin Diesel comes to mind immediately as an action hero. He was one of the first action heroes I actually probably watched, thinking back, because he really capitalizes on franchises. Looking through his filmography, he doesn't have a lot outside of Fast and the Furious, Triple X, which he reprised his role within the past few years, I want to say. They had a spin-off from that, I believe, as well. But you've got, Fast and the Furious, Triple X, and the Riddick series as well. And it was Pitch Black. I remember seeing him in Pitch Black. And in that movie, he's really the bad guy, essentially. Have you guys seen Pitch Black?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
He's kind of an anti-hero.
That was his first time as being Riddick.
That was his first time as being Riddick. And at the time when they made Pitch Black, I don't think they anticipated it kind of gaining the popularity that it did. And then Chronicles of Riddick, which followed, very much tried to dive down the world-building rabbit hole, which we've addressed in some other episodes, can cause some issues. So I think they got really ambitious with the Chronicles of Riddick to try and make this a very expansive world and universe that they could build on for many movies to follow. But overall, I would have loved to have seen multiple Chronicles of Riddick movies, actually. I really enjoyed those movies. So, and then later they came out, I think it was just titled Riddick, was the third follow-up they did after that.
So, interesting thing. So, he's like I said, he's part of my 19 names I found. What I calculated, and what I did is I deep dove many of these actors and actresses, by the way. I found 2 actresses I would like to include. I did a deep dive on their filmography and selected select works that are action movies. Like, for instance, when we get to, if somebody mentions Bruce Willis has probably been in more action movies than anybody else, but the last 10 years they've all been crap. And they're not really doing anything, making any money, and you probably haven't seen them, right?
I bet he'd punch you right in the face.
He's
at 63. I don't know. How old is he?
I don't know. I'd block it, though. So
I blocked his counter.
What I did is I took his movies, starting with Pitch Black, Joe, his Fast and the Furious franchise, Triple X, both of them. Which, it's funny is I talked about movies that pass the eye test. One of his probably most underrated movies is called A Man Apart.
Oh, I've never seen it. That was 90s, right?
Amazing action movie with him and Lorenz Tate, where he basically does a revenge suicide request because somebody kills his wife. Okay, awesome movie. Didn't really gross well. Box office gross, international box office total, 44 million. Okay, Chronicles of Riddick, Babylon AD. He though, because of Fast and Furious, has grossed $5.71 billion. Coming in second on my list of total gross. He averages $439 million per movie, roughly, which comes in, I think, about, he's probably 5 or 6 down from the list. But what's interesting is you brought him up, again, known for his ensemble cast, Fast and Furious, Triple X, but I still think his best movie is A Man Apart.
Nice.
And granted, that's kind of what some of this conversation is here, is what makes an action movie. because I think it's one of those unsung hero movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
What I found really interesting, I'm not using this as a point either for or against him, but I'd forgotten he actually provided the voice for the Iron Giant long before he provided the voice for
That
Groot.
might have been his first role.
Yeah.
What, like, because that was, 98?
He's somewhere around there, I want to say, yeah.
7?
Late
Very,
90s.
very early.
Yeah.
In his career.
Definitely. But I thought that was really interesting, kind of going back through there, because I'd completely forgotten that. And now that, you see him a lot interviewed about the fact he has to say, "I am Groot" for everything.
Yeah. I didn't count that
in the
in
Marvel.
the action
Yeah, no,
movies.
I'm not counting that for him either, but I
I love
I'd
the
forgotten
passion.
that he
I love
was-
the passion he puts forth through that role.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's run through your next 4. We'll not break them down individually. We'll break them down as a collective. So who do you have at number 4?
Oh, I like it. Okay, cool. So the next person I have on my list is Jason Statham. I believe his first acting credit is in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, if I'm not mistaken, which is a phenomenal movie.
Are you classifying it as an action movie?
I'm not.
Me
No,
neither.
but
Okay.
I'm throwing it out there as
Got it.
his first
Still
credit,
amazing.
which I
Thought
love
very
that movie.
hard about that movie,
And
whether to include it or not. And I wouldn't, but I still love
It's
it.
probably still his best movie.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, I think. But this guy has an amazing run. Fast and Furious, obviously, franchise. He's got Hobbs and Shaw coming out here as well with The Rock. The Mechanic, Expendables, Parker, Safe, Killer Elite, Blitz, Crank, Death Race. I have more I wrote down. I won't keep going over them. This guy's a powerhouse. Like, as soon as he was discovered, he just has been in so many things. Obviously, some have been much more successful than others, but no doubt about it that this guy is an action star. Like, when you are trying to describe the perfect action star, Jason Statham, I think, could make a strong case for that. So,
What's funny, though, is, and Nate and Ryan are pointing to, the first movie, by the way, note to self, the first DVD I ever owned was called The One.
oh yes,
The Jet Li movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jet Li
yes.
versus Jet Li, and his cop associate is Jason
Jason
Statham,
Statham,
which also
yes.
was the first of many movies these guys starred in together, which was great. That and Ocean's 11 were the first 2 DVDs that started a long journey and a lot of wasted money on buying movies.
Yeah, those
Okay.
are worth a lot now.
Yeah, but so
It's collector's edition.
okay, so go through your next one, Joe.
Yeah, so coming in at number 3 for me was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Okay,
What I really
Who?
like, yeah, who? What? What I think is really fascinating about The Rock is that he's managed to kind of thread this needle between being family friendly and having this kind of popular image as being family friendly, but he's also very much an action movie star, and he's been in movies that you don't want to take your kids to. So I think that's really interesting about The Rock and how he's able to kind of really be in movies that kind of capture the imagination of a wide audience.
Okay.
So I really think that's a cool thing about him. To go through some of his filmography here, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with it. He also will be in Hobbs and Shaw, of course, Fast and Furious franchise. That seems to be a common through line here for a couple of these guys.
Yeah.
Rampage, he was in the Jumanji reboot. Hercules, G.I. Joe, Doom,
Yep.
Walking Tall, The
Yep.
Rundown.
The
as you
Rundown's
mentioned.
very good.
Scorpion King, Mummy Returns. He was woefully underutilized in The Mummy Returns,
Yes.
especially with the really poor CGI at the end of that movie.
That was his first movie.
That was his first role.
Yes. So I was very pleased, regardless of how good of a movie it is, I'm very pleased he was able to reprise that role in the Scorpion King movie. So
He
he
really
could
just
at
had to be a big bad in The Mummy Returns,
Yeah.
right? He really didn't do anything
No.
except look imposing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's
He's a
funny
big,
is
intimidating guy
The
with some
Scorpion King is probably one of my father's favorite movies.
Oh, nice.
I think he's watched this thing a million times.
It's
he really likes that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Surprisingly, Hercules, by the way, $288 million gross at the box office. Probably his most successful non-Fast and Furious and G.I. Joe movie.
I would have never guessed that.
Me neither.
I would guess 80% is that international versus domestic.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
no way.
Absolutely.
That's
But
popular.
total, I mean, it was a successful movie, though.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not necessarily going to make anybody's top 10 list, but it was a good, once again, it's a good action movie. Something you can sit down, enjoy. Things get wrapped up by the end of it. You have that conflict, like you were saying, Ryan.
Okay.
Some good action sequences in it. So, and then the other ones, too, that I thought were interesting, not action movies, but since I mentioned that he can star in the other kind of movies for younger kids, Moana, obviously, Maui from Moana. He's also been in the Tooth Fairy and the Game Plan as well. So, pretty
You know, it broke
pretty
my
versatile.
heart when I saw The Rock in a tutu spinning around a living room, and I thought, where has this man fallen to in life?
And to be fair, Ryan and I are also big WWE fans.
It
so
is.
like
we know him as Flex Cavana.
or Rocky Maivia. You know, we've known him since the mid '90s as something else. But let's get to number 2, Joe.
Yes, number 2. I will throw this out there. He's arguably the most talented on anybody's list. The one and only Jackie Chan.
Ooh.
This guy is a beast. And to also...
Where's this on your list? Sorry.
He's number 2.
Number 2,
To
okay.
fill you in, he's been in so many movies, many of which were well before the 90s. What kind of was the theme throughout my list was obviously actors that maybe were only in their first movie in the 90s, so started to become well known there, but also actors in general that really kind of made their name or made themselves a household name in the 90s. So prior to the 90s, I would argue Jackie Chan was not well known in the States at least. So with the 90s, you start to get some of his movies that American audiences would become a little bit more familiar with. So since obviously I'm a part of that viewing audience, not to discount listeners across the world, of course, but since I'm part of that viewing audience, I would say 90s is kind of a locked-in Jackie Chan for me. But
Can I just interject a little bit?
Yeah.
Because he was on my top 5 for the 1990s action.
What number do you have him at, Nate?
Excellent.
So Jackie Chan, I'd put him probably on number 3.
Nice.
He's a middleman.
Alright.
Good deal.
So if I could just run through his 90s filmography.
Yeah, hit us with it.
Operation Condor, 91. Probably never heard of it, but it was an action movie. Police Story 3, Super Cop.
To be fair, he wasn't really well known in America till Rumble in the
Right.
Bronx.
Yes, Rumble in the Bronx is probably where he first.
So,
released his name.
Police Story 3, Super Cop is the English interpretation of that title. Rumble in the Bronx, 95.
Which is amazing.
Police Story 4, First Strike, which is ironic because it's the 4th movie in the franchise. That was in 96. Mr. Nice Guy, 97. Rush Hour.
Yes, Rush Hour.
Rush Hour, 98.
Yep.
Shanghai Noon, technically 2000, but I'm going to round down. I'm going to say 99 on that one.
Okay. When we were discussing earlier what qualifies as an action movie, does Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights count?
Action comedies, or what kind of mixed genre do you
Rush Hour is the same, though, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I
don't know.
included it.
I included it as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did.
I would say, yeah, very much action comedy, absolutely. But I'd say there's enough action elements that it would qualify.
You're taking the guy that has like the outtakes at the end of every film where he does all of his own stunts, his own action stunts.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how many injuries that guy has. It's unbelievable. It's like off the charts.
So I also broke down later, and we'll have this conversation towards the end about the best trilogy or the best 3-movie run.
Okay. Yeah. That'll be good.
Can I just tell you that Rush Hour beats out trilogies like John Wick as far as grossing?
Oh.
And understanding, I know John Wick 3 is still in theaters, but it's probably still going to beat it. Blade almost doubles Blade, beats John Wick, and beats The Expendables. Rush Hour 3 had $849 million
Rush Hour 3
as a trilogy. No. As a trilogy.
That was a trilogy. Okay.
Trilogy.
Okay. That makes more sense.
very successful.
Yeah, it is
I
very
mean,
successful.
You know,
is that an ode to Jackie Chan on the international level, or
Probably an ode to Chris Tucker.
yeah, that black comedy?
$50 million. Okay, who's your number 1, Joe?
Number 1, Keanu Reeves.
Oh, Joe,
Keanu
I knew
Reeves.
you were going to go there.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be the most
Divisive.
divisive number 1.
I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon.
I just want to hear.
In the
Thanks,
90s,
man.
he's your number 1?
He's up there.
I just want to hear how you justify it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got 2 main reasons. He has been in 2 franchises that have redefined the action genre. The Matrix and John Wick. I think the level of... Well, let's start with The Matrix. The, obviously, graphics that they use, CGI, special effects, choreography, across the board, I think really set a new bar. It was unlike anything people had experienced at the time.
I agree with you,
And really
100%.
kick-started kind of a new era, I would say, for how we view an action movie.
How big did bullet time become a thing
Yeah.
for both movies and video games?
Very true.
After that
And
series?
That thing
Max
that he does
Payne
where he like
comes to mind.
he backs up and he's like on the rooftop getting shot by the agent. That thing was parodied through so
yeah.
many
Yeah,
movies.
absolutely. And
Or
then,
I Know Kung Fu.
Yeah, I know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fast forward to John Wick, which I think is also setting a new bar, undoubtedly, in terms of action movies and what we expect from them. Taking a look at action movies from the 80s, which I love, but it's a lot... Choreography is not important, right? In the 80s, choreography doesn't really matter. It's shooting guns from the hip, spraying bullets everywhere, throwing punches. That's what people wanted. It's still enjoyable to watch. John Wick, the level of precision and the fact that Keanu Reeves actually went through such extensive training to not only look like he can do this stuff, he can actually do this stuff.
Correct. I've seen the video clips of him at the gun range.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just his commitment, I really, really respect that. And I think he's, once again, set the bar on multiple occasions for what action movies should be. On top of all that, and this put it over the edge, is just who Keanu Reeves is as a person. He seems like
That came into it?
It totally did for this one. Because, and I don't usually, I think I've commented on this in the past, like, I don't get too caught up in celebrities. Like, oh my god, I just met this person. Like, I wouldn't really care too much. If I ever get to meet Keanu Reeves, I'm going to be, like, fanboying all over the place. But he seems like such a genuine dude. And it did go into my reason for rating him at the top.
That's okay.
Because there's just so much stuff you hear about nowadays. And, like, Keanu Reeves, though, seems like a good guy.
Absolutely. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon.
Is he your number one?
For the 90s?
For the 90s?
For the 90s alone? No. I don't think he made not my top in the 90s.
How much did Point Break gross?
Oh, I got you. 1 second. So.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even... Sorry. I was going to reference some other action movies that often get overlooked as well. Man of Tai Chi, 47 Ronin, Constantine, Johnny Mnemonic as well. That was in there. Speed and Point Break, I would still consider them action movies.
Well, Speed's arguably one of the biggest action movies of the 90s.
Yeah.
But Point Break grossed only $83.5 million. Speed did $350 million. Matrix Trilogy did $3 billion. And John Wick currently, as of June 3rd, when I made my list, is at $482 million. He's grossed an average of $3.9 billion, and he averages about $487 million a movie. He is number 6 on my all-time gross list here.
Nice.
From 1990 to the current.
Do you want to hear where he's at my 1990s list?
Yes.
Okay, right? The Matrix, 1999. Explosive, the first
That's the
time.
end of the 90s. That's the end of your list.
Well, yeah, I kind of started at the end.
Hold on, wait. Hold on, Nate. Before we get to your list from the 90s, does anybody have anything to say about Joe's list?
Here's the problem I have with Keanu Reeves, is he doesn't pass an eye test. I can buy Keanu Reeves as Ted Logan in Bill and Ted. I can't buy him as a movie watcher, as someone who could kick my ass.
But the reality is he probably could. Because he is actually trained in this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have him at my number one, but I do understand what you're saying. I've not seen, full disclosure, I've not seen John Wick 2 and 3. I have seen 1, thought it was okay. I know that 2 and 3, my plans are to see them. I know that they're all what's hot right now as far as action movies go. I'm assuming they're amazing. But I don't know. I think the Matrix trilogy is great, but let's be fair, the Matrix 1 is by far the better of the 3 movies.
Oh, yeah,
not
I
even
do agree
close.
I do
and
agree
the 2
with
and
that.
3 really aren't as good.
Right.
Speed's really good. But the reality of Speed is, even though it's amazing, not a lot of action because he's on the bus the whole time.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I know it's technically an action movie, but I almost didn't put it on there as an action movie.
He made my
because of that.
list. He's just not number one.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I get where you guys are coming from, but I very much think you could.
Are you holding strong,
kick my
Joe?
behind in real life?
Are you holding strong with your list? Is that what you're telling us?
Can I tell you?
Yeah,
can I tell you
absolutely.
though,
I'm not gonna
Joe?
reorganize it.
For your list, 3 of your guys are in the top 5 grossing on my list. So you got Vin Diesel. He comes in at number 2 at $5.71 billion.
That's really
Jason
interesting.
Statham comes in
I
at
didn't know that.
5 with $4.18 billion. The Rock comes in at 3 with $5.41 billion. Jackie Chan's much farther down the list.
Gotcha.
And Keanu comes in 6 at $3.9 billion. What's interesting, though, is and we can have this debate too post everybody's list here, is the difference between individual movies versus the ensemble movies.
Very true.
Because specifically Jason Statham is the ideal person to have that debate on. Okay, so pin that, Joe. Remind me to come back to that.
We'll do.
Nate, give me your list starting at 5.
Okay. Hitting quick. Keanu Reeves.
At 5?
I thought you said it was 3.
I know. No, you said
Or
Jackie
the
Chan.
Jackie Chan was-
I want you to
yeah.
start at number 5 and go up to number 1, Nate. I feel like I gotta draw.
Oh my
gotta
gosh.
walk you through this.
So many honorable mentions in the 90s. All right, this is a troll list. I just want to put that forward. Also, I didn't follow the criteria that everyone else did. Let's start with Antonio Banderas.
Okay.
Mask of Zorro, 98. 13th Warrior, 99.
Really good movie.
Desperado,
Very good.
95.
Yeah.
Even better. Assassins, 95. If you haven't watched it, it is a fun movie with Sly.
Stallone.
Yeah, so
Good one.
you could have put that towards Sly as well.
Yep.
Nicknamed the Latin Lover. I think he's 5'8.5".
Okay.
So if that interests you, okay. But yeah, like I said,
Good.
this is a
Good.
troll
No,
list.
I like Banderas. I did not have him on my list, but that's a very good forgotten
Underrated,
honorable.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
man, this is a good mention.
He would not make it going from 90 to the current because his entire career stops
Absolutely
at the
not.
90s.
Obviously, I
If you
thought of
look
him
at-
as the mariachi, but I couldn't. Just
Yeah,
going off
yes.
of memory, I couldn't go anything outside of that
Yep.
as far as
Yep.
other movies, action movies.
Unfortunately, if you look at his filmography past the 90s, too, it takes such a down.
Yeah,
turn,
well, he
I would
shows
say.
up in Expendables 3 as well as one of these ensemble people. He
Yeah.
might be in 2, but I think he's in 3 only.
I'd say he has probably like 6 minutes of screen time, if I had to guess.
I mean, Desperado's a great movie.
it's fantastic.
So good.
Awesome.
It's
Yes.
awesome. One of the best. You
Just
want to talk
a
about
great
a John
shoot 'em
Wick
up.
movie? Like Antonio Banderas and is just great in Desperado.
All right, my number 4.
Yep.
Let's jump to very controversial. Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
You
Cage.
guys want to go there?
Yes.
All right.
I love
He's
Nick
the
Cage.
second worst actor of all time, behind Keanu Reeves. Again, doesn't pass the eye test, but I can actually buy him because of these movies you're about to read.
Oh, dude,
I can actually, I can accept
He's
his
got-
placement.
he's
a
got
darn good filmography,
he's got
which
a
unfortunately
4
supports his cause.
He's got a 4-movie run that I would put up against anybody's 4 movies in a row.
Ooh, tell me if I hit these 4. Okay.
Yep.
I got Face Off.
Yep.
97. The Rock.
Yep.
96. Con Air.
Yep.
97. Firebirds.
No.
No. This is 1990.
Gone in 60 Seconds. Or is that a
That was
heist movie?
2000.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
on
could
my
buy
list,
that.
I couldn't qualify that.
All right. Okay. So let's just say this: his 3-movie
The
run.
original,
His-
the H.B. Aliki Gone in 60 Seconds, I would say is an action movie because
Okay.
it's nothing but driving.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'd...
So let's just do trilogy because, like I said, I broke down trilogies later. So I want to have that conversation about his 3-movie run because it is phenomenal. The Rock is probably one of the movies I've watched more than any other movie I can think of. There was like probably 3 years where I watched it like probably every other day. It was just
What a
my favorite.
fantastic cast.
So
for that
good,
movie.
so good.
Ed
Awesome.
Harris, Sean Connery.
Yeah, really good. Face Off, come on. Take his face off. So great. Okay, and Con Air. I mean, granted, to be fair, John Malkovich absolutely steals that movie from him.
Dave
But
Chappelle kills it.
So good.
Yeah. Cyrus the Virus.
Yes. Awesome run. Okay, I buy that. I like the Nick Cage thing. Let me tell you
Alright.
about Nick Cage though. Surprisingly, because after that, he doesn't really gross very much after that. So he's only at 1.14 billion. He's below Jackie Chan
And this is only action movies?
from 1990 to the current.
Okay.
And that's based on select filmography that I selected for Nick Cage, which if you give me a second, I can kind of tell you what I based it on, because it's not a lot either. The Rock, Con Air, Face Off, Gone in 60 Seconds, and I really like, personally, Snake Eyes. I think Snake Eyes is a forgotten, really good movie.
I like 8mm. It was good.
It's gritty.
Down and dirty.
Yeah.
Gritty movie, yeah.
Okay. We got 3 is Jackie Chan.
Okay.
Who's your 2?
Okay. I'll go this route. I'll go Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
Matrix, 99. Speed, 94. Point Break, Patrick Swayze. as Johnny Utah, which is the dumbest name I've ever heard, but I
Ohio,
made a note to point that out.
On Ohio State University, they have Johnny Utah jerseys.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Say that again?
Awesome.
So I
Ohio State.
believe Johnny Utah's character was an Ohio State football quarterback, which at the beginning of the movie they play that football game on the beach, remember?
Yeah.
But I believe, like, you'll see people walking around Ohio State University with Utah jerseys. Johnny Utah, like Ohio State jersey with the Johnny Utah name on the back. Kind of like Rudy for, you know.
Sure. Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that a part of the plot of like that? What?
That's how he knows him.
Okay.
That's how Patrick Swayze really meets
All
him.
right.
Patrick Swayze.
Bill
is
and
so hot.
Ted's Bogus Adventure, I think.
It's an action movie?
Took some liberties there. 91.
Oh, the first one. Okay.
No, the second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The first one was.
So you're going based off 3 movies for him.
No, I'm still going. Chain Reaction with Morgan Freeman.
I don't remember
Maybe a
that.
limited viewership on that. Johnny Mnemonic, 1995, when we were trying to understand how memory works as a part of like a computer world versus our memory. It's interesting. Fun to watch, for sure. Mm-hmm. Certainly an action movie. The thing that I would point out is Keanu Reeves won a Kids' Choice Award, Nickelodeon Blimp, for the favorite movie actor in 1994. Excuse my laughing.
Wait, he won that in 1994?
Yeah, he sure
For
did.
Speed,
For what
right?
film?
Yeah,
Would have
Speed.
had to have been for Speed, I guess.
yeah.
In
I thought that was okay.
he won 3, count them, 3 MTV Movie Desirable Male Awards. 1996, 1995, 1992.
He was a
So
back
he's
to
got
back.
He's got Moon Men and Blimps.
Yeah.
On his trophy case.
You have to have like a nice shelf to put that much hardware up on top of.
You know what he doesn't have is a Dundee. Okay, who's your number 1? I can't wait for this.
I'm going to go with Wesley Snipes. The man who doesn't pay his taxes.
Hit us with it, Nate. What's his,
All right.
what's his filmography there?
Well, I'm going to hit you with the first one that everyone knows. Blade.
Yes.
yeah,
98,
and a
right?
strong case based on Blade alone, yeah.
And
Blade's
starting off strong.
Blade's a good series.
It's going to kind of fade from here.
No, it's not going to. He's got great movies.
He's got
U.S.
a
Marshals.
He's got a really good 90s.
1998, also starring Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, that's a sequel to The Fugitive.
Okay, but still not to which he was the star of. I had The Money Train, 1995. Drop
Oh
Zone,
yeah, that's
94.
Drop Zone's good.
Demolition Man, 93.
The best movie
Yes.
on that list.
Nope, here it comes. The best movie on the list is coming.
Boiling Point, 93.
Nope.
White Men Can't Jump, 92. I took a leap there. Pun
You don't even
intended.
have his best action movie on there.
New Jack City, 91.
No,
That's
Passenger.
that's a drama.
Passenger 57.
I could, yeah.
Passenger 57 is by far his best action movie outside of the Blade trilogy.
I just enjoy that you're jumping on my bandwagon right now.
No, he's really good. He grossed $759 million, but he went to jail. So I can't really say. He does show up in The Expendables, though.
That should show no disregard to how well of an actor he is.
So the ironic part
Just because
is
he didn't pay his taxes.
the worst Blade movie actually grossed the most money. So Blade 1 only grossed 131 million. Blade 2, 155. Blade 3, surprisingly, only 128.
Blade 3, really?
Yeah.
With Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel.
Yeah, but Ryan Reynolds wasn't
Yeah, he
Deadpool
wasn't,
yet.
yeah.
He was Van Wilder by that point.
If you were going to take a poll of like your favorite characters in that movie,
No, I understand. He was funny in the movie, and Blade 2 is by far the worst. But U.S. Marshals still wasn't very well known. Demolition Man, awesome.
yes.
So good.
Yes.
It was great.
When's the last time you've seen Passenger 57, Nate? Have you ever seen it? It might be on Hulu.
I feel like
I
on the
recently
filmography.
watched it because it's on one of the streaming services. Hijacking plane movie, great.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome movie. Okay, Wesley Snipes is your number 1. All right. Does anybody want?
I had Carl Weathers as an honorable mention.
Okay.
if you're a big fan of
Would you go back to the 80s?
Arrested Development. Yeah, it lingers a little bit more into the 80s, more so than the 90s.
So he went backwards.
Yeah, so not only did he not follow going forward, he decided to tack on 87, 88, 89 to make it work.
Yeah, he rounded way up.
Okay. Nate, you know who you don't have on your list?
Yeah, how did I do?
Here are people like, no joke, here are people you're missing from like the early 90s. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
If you're just sticking to 99, he's got a 3-movie run in there. Listen, let me find this. T2, True Lies, and Total Recall.
That's not a trilogy. Those are 3 different things.
No, but he's got a 3-movie run that's arguably better than anybody's but Nick Cage in the 90s.
Okay.
And I don't even have Total Recall on
I
my list.
didn't. I didn't pull those demographics.
No.
I thought that was 80s. Total Recall.
Where's Where's Kindergarten
Just
Cop
came in.
on that list?
Which is really good, but not on the list. I didn't count it as an action movie. T2, Last Action Hero, True Lies, Total Recall, Eraser, which I like.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
I mean, he was by far one of the better parts of that movie.
Yeah. T3 and Terminator
Except for
Genesis.
George Clooney's suit nipples.
Yeah. But
Best part.
without even including Total Recall, he's at $2.39 billion at $341 million per movie. I don't know how he's not on your list. Just sticking to the 90s. Same thing with people like Stallone, Gibson, Willis.
Mm-hmm.
That's because it was a troll list.
Or at the bottom of my list, Jean-Claude Van Damme, amazing.
GCVD.
Kurt
I love
Russell,
they really abbreviated
amazing.
that.
And my personal favorite of the 3, Steven Seagal.
Kurt Russell. I saw a bunch of hard press about Kurt Russell after Waterworld. About how that was the most expensive movie of all
That's
time.
Kevin Costner.
Oh, sorry, Kevin Costner.
Yeah, we're talking about Kurt Russell.
Don't get it.
But back to Kevin Costner. Go ahead. Go ahead.
He was. I mean, he was on the upward track, right? And
There you
until
go.
he's-
Is that
Waterworld.
Is that
107
action movie?
Yeah.
Waterworld?
Well,
It was,
Mad
actually.
Max is. It's got to be. It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Mad Max and Waterworld are the same thing. Only one's on the road and one's on the
Oh,
water.
could you
Mad Max is better.
Could you consider one to be an adventure?
Not denying that, and not talking Fury Road right now. Talking the original Mad Max.
Right, and actually, I can't.
Dude,
I've still not seen Waterworld, so I
The
can't
Road
comment
Warrior
directly.
is probably the best action film of all time.
Woo! Oh, we're gonna.
Yes.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't know you
Joe and
loved
Ryan
Mad
just
Max.
high-fived
Yeah.
in case you get to see it on the podcast.
dude.
yeah, put a pin in that. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna come back to Road Warrior being the best action movie of all time. Okay, go ahead, Ryan. Top 5.
So,
Start with 5.
okay. I want to go a little outside the box here.
Go ahead.
But I had to think, who's in. So, I actually, let me start with an honorable mention.
Got it.
And I don't think you have her on your list.
Okay.
Kate Beckinsale.
I don't have her on my list, but man, she is very attractive.
Oh, my God.
And-
Did you see her in Click?
Yeah, but not an action movie.
You're right. But she's got the Underworld trilogy.
Yeah.
Which is still one of the best, if not the best, vampire versus werewolf / Lycan movie that's out there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely agree.
And she's believable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But my number 5 is Mia Jovovich, who I do see on your
She's
on
on
your
my
list as well.
she's
here.
on my list.
Based solely on, of course, the slew of Resident Evil movies came out. And I'd also argue probably one of the best action movies of the 90s, The Fifth Element.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Chris,
with you there.
another Chris Tucker movie, by the way.
Yes.
Yep. That's right.
And then outside of that, she's just kind of badass.
She's in Hellboy and Ultraviolet.
Yep.
Yes.
Can I tell you,
That as well.
as her, she has grossed more money from 1990, and again, select filmography action movies, than Stallone, Jackie Chan, Nick Cage, Wesley Snipes, Seagal, Russell, and Van Damme.
Really?
That is shocking.
Now, granted, to be fair, the Resident Evil movies, and I don't know the names of them, so I put them in just in order of the number.
Sure.
103 million, 129 million, 148 million, 300 million, 240 million, 312 million. I mean, if it wasn't for these, she would be, well, in Fifth Element's 263.
Mm-hmm.
She is averaging $174 million per movie, which is not bad. And again, because she gets, Resident Evil really pulls her up. But yeah, no, she's definitely on my list.
Mm-hmm.
She's not the number one woman though, because the number one woman's actually Angelina Jolie.
Oh,
I thought about her too, but
I think about her all the time.
better right now.
I want to hear her.
Yeah, give me her filmography
Jolie's?
because outside of Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Tomb Raider,
Oh, it's amazing.
I'm coming up blank.
What do you consider action movies? That
She's got, I put Gone in 60 Seconds, so even if I took that off, she got Laura Croft, 1 and 2, Mr. and Mrs.
blonde
Smith,
dreads.
Wanted,
Yeah, Wanted.
Oh, Wanted!
and
I
Salt.
forgot about that.
Salt
Curve
was
that
really,
bullet.
really good. She's at $1.77 billion. She's almost at $300 million. She's grossing more than Mel Gibson and Mila Jovovich, and then everybody else that falls below that waterfall. She is, I think, and I could be wrong, unless there's another woman that I'm thinking of, she's a box office gold here. I mean, she makes a ton of money. And
Did she have top billing in Wanted?
no. She might. Freeman might have.
Who?
Morgan Freeman, but she's just below like someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger as far as average per movie in this time period, based again on select filmography, please. But that's a good one. Okay,
Yeah.
Who's your fourth?
Number 4. My middle. I've got a really clear top that I feel very strongly about, and I'm kind of divided on who else falls in.
Okay, just go ahead then. You want to start at 1?
No, because I'll talk about one more than the others.
Okay.
You know what? Number 4. Number 4, I'd probably throw Stallone in.
Okay.
Number 3, I would go with Tom Cruise.
Oh,
And here's why. Output of movies is... It's okay.
I'll cover Tom Cruise on mine if you want.
Yeah, no, okay.
He's my number 1.
Oh, all right.
And it's also an eye test thing. It wasn't the last, the most recent Mission Impossible that came out. It was
really good, by the way.
the one before that I realized that he must have something in his rider that says nobody can be better than me at these things. And it's driving, doing stunts, shooting a gun. If you watch that movie, there is nothing he can't do, and always does everything perfectly.
Also his own stunts, by the way.
Yes. Oh, of course. He always,
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
look at him climbing this tower.
But wait, hold on. Let's think about this. We laud Jackie Chan for doing his own stunts. Tom Cruise, the biggest arguable action star of the 90s, if not Hollywood, does his own stunts too. That's impressive.
That's probably talked more about than Jackie Chan doing his own stunts, though.
Right.
Everybody talks about it.
Right. Well, they should. Again, biggest action star. You know who doesn't do his own stunts? Keanu and Wesley Snipes.
Keanu does a lot of his own stunts now. I can't say about back in the day.
But here's Stallone for you. You got Demolition Man, Assassins, Judge Dredd, Rambo, because most of the Rambos were before. Okay, 90.
The most recent.
And then all the Expendables movies, which really, really pump up his numbers a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's at 1.27 billion, 181. Because reality is, outside of the Expendables, nothing grossed $200 million after 1990. Granted, Rockies, Rambos, he's kind of played out.
Dramas,
Yeah.
more so than
Yeah.
action.
Okay. 2?
Number 2, and probably the greatest man of all time, is Mel Gibson.
I do like Mel.
We've mentioned the Road Warrior. Obviously, that falls before the 1990 cutoff that we set. However, he's also in a league of those like mid to late 90s movies where, it was just hit after hit. Ransom, which I guess is more like kind of a mystery sort of thing. I don't know if it's like really action necessarily. And then Payback.
Payback was one of my favorite all-time action movies.
It is.
If you haven't seen the movie Payback with Mel Gibson, it is phenomenal.
Dude, it is so
It's
good.
great. I'm a big fan of Lethal Weapon. I love the Lethal Weapon series.
And even discounting the first two, he still had, what, two others?
He had 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Mm-hmm. 3 did 321 million. 4 did 285 million. But there's another movie he did. It was called Edge of Darkness. Not very well received. Pretty good, though. Not bad. Do you count The Patriot or Braveheart?
I was thinking about that on the way over here. And I don't think I would.
But you can give him Expendables 3 since he's the villain.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. I really love me some Mel Gibson, too. Not personal hang out with him, though, but just watch his movies. Okay. And your number one?
Number one, it's got to be The Rock. And here's
Rock. Good choice.
It's all based on eye test. If I think modern day, if there's a Schwarzenegger of our time, who do you put on a poster? It's got to be The Rock. You go to his IMDb, he has 109 entries for himself, or for, as an actor. Of course, you got some of the WWE in there and all that kind of stuff. Tom Cruise only has 59 throughout his whole career, and probably 2/5 of those are going to be drama movies. You've got The Mummies, The Scorpion King, Walking Tall, which I love. I think is a great movie. It's a great remake of a good movie. It's probably better than the original. But he's got it all. He's got looks, and then he does crappy like disaster movies too, which are making a second. And then to cap it all off, he's gonna play, or rumored to play, one of my favorite characters in one of my favorite movies, and that's Kurt Russell's Jack
Burton.
Jack Burton in
Burton.
a remake of Big Trouble in Little China.
Is he playing the actual character of Jack Burton?
No.
It's in the realm, right?
It's in the realm. I will be there on opening day for that.
Yep.
That is one of my all-time
Right
favorites.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I smell what he's cooking!
So, going to The Rock here. Third highest on our list, 5.41 billion. There is maybe an argument to make, and it's not to say that the franchise was going to be failing, but the reason why we get 9 or 10 Fast and the Furious movies is because The Rock joins the cast.
That's a good point. I looked that up later, and he just fills in that missing gap.
Fast and Furious 1, huge success. 2 was a success, but obviously people don't like 2 and 3 because whatever, right? 4 is good, but 4 is good because Vin Diesel comes back. Okay, great. How many more are you going to see of just him and Paul Walker, right? Who knows? The Rock comes in at 5, totally basically almost shoots a steroid in this franchise and takes off. And so much to the point where the new Fast and the Furious movie does not have Vin Diesel in it, and it's just him and Statham, Hobbs and Shaw, right? Really impressive. He's got the look. He's got, he could be the arguable modern Terminator, which, by the way, he was in talks to be, I want to say, the one. Instead of having Jet Li versus Jet Li, I think it was Jet Li versus The Rock. There was conversations about him being the Terminator. In the movie The Rundown, there's an awesome scene at the very beginning of the movie where The Rock goes into the restroom inside this club before he's about to go basically beat this dude up. And he walks out and he walks right past Arnold Schwarzenegger and they bump going shoulder to shoulder. And Schwarzenegger says, "Good luck." And it's almost like
it's a passing of the
baton.
Yeah.
Awesome scene, which is another reason why The Rundown's so good. Good list. I like the Mila Jovovich ad. Okay. Anybody comments on his?
I like that list. I totally agree with The Rock should be toward the top there. Absolutely.
Okay. So I'll go with mine. Number 5, Jason Statham. Agree with you. Jason Statham's, granted, because of his ensemble casts that he gets in both Expendables and the Fast and Furious franchise, he just flies up the rankings on, first off, grossing of movies, right? But some of my favorite movies, Transporter. I really ride for the movie War with him and Jet Li.
Oh, Jet Li, yeah.
So good.
I really like that movie,
Yeah,
too.
it's on Netflix, I think, if you haven't seen it, really good. And I really like The Mechanic. The Mechanic is really good, where he's a hitman with him and, what's the guy's name? Ben Foster. Really good.
Oh, okay.
Really good movie.
I haven't seen that one either, but...
Number 4 for me is Keanu.
Nice.
Hey-o, 1990 shout out.
I know I haven't seen John Wick 2 and 3. I'm not holding that against him. I think that Keanu's good. The problem is, if we take away the franchise of The Matrix, you know what I mean? I don't know where he lands. And The Matrix is so big, and I think you can plug other people into the Keanu, into Neo. I think other people could have
I
played
don't think
Neo.
he made it
Yeah, I don't think
essential
I don't
to
think
be
yeah
him.
I don't think
Yeah.
he makes that franchise. I think everything around, like you said, all the special effects and everything like that makes that movie or that franchise. 3 for me is Will Smith. If
Good
you guys
choice.
have not seen Will
Yeah,
Smith's
that's a good
IMDb, it is bananas.
I
Bad
don't-
Boys.
I don't think I considered him because I think I put more of his movies as dramas.
Okay,
than action.
let me run through
Bad
this.
Boys
go
are
ahead.
awesome.
Bad Boys.
Yeah,
One
it's,
and
Independence
it's
Day.
the only good Michael Bay film.
Okay, Men in Black, Wild Wild West. Okay, Bad Boys 2, Men in Black 2, iRobot, I Am Legend, Hancock,
Yeah.
Men in Black 3, and if you want to add the Suicide Squad, he is number 4 at $5.4 billion. Listen to these movies grossing, especially towards the end. Like Bad Boys 1, not very much.
How did
Independence Day,
Aladdin do?
I saw it. It's great. And he did
Was it really?
And he did awesome.
Really?
He did a really good job. Independence Day, $817 million. Men in Black, almost $600 million. Men in Black 2, $400 million. iRobot, $350. I Am Legend, $585. Which I will tell you,
Nice.
I've never seen that movie, nor will I.
No kidding.
As a German Shepherd owner,
Yeah,
I will
you would-
never see that
I would
movie.
not like that part.
You don't like zombies either.
I don't. Hancock, $625. Men in Black 3 did $625 as well. Which is
I
crazy.
thought Hancock was a big flop, but it did
People saw it.
625.
Yeah. Suicide Squad, $746. $490 million. His average per movie is number 2. He is box office gold. He is funny. He is believable. Granted, he's not like believable in an action way of like say like a Wesley Snipes or even like a Jason Bourne, Matt Damon. Like as far as hand-to-hand combat,
Martial arts.
yeah.
situation,
Which
yeah.
I think of my list, I do think Wesley
he's-
Snipes is
he's-
one of the most underrated martial arts movie people. He's so good.
He's
but he just-
physically imposing.
Yeah, he just puts money on the table though.
Yeah.
And iRobot, I mean, Men in Black, they're good. They're funny, but they're just entertaining.
Yeah, they're solid movies.
Bad Boys 2, by the way, is probably the movie I've seen the most in theaters than any other movie. I think
Really?
there was a summer where a buddy of mine worked at the local movie theater. We saw that movie probably 6 times,
Really?
and it's a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
It's very long. Which, by the way, they're coming out with Bad Boys 3 soon, too.
Oh yeah,
That's been rumored for a long time.
they're doing it.
Martin Lawrence, too?
Yeah, they're coming up with that.
Nice.
My number 2. Sorry, a rookie came in here. My number 2 is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
I ride for Schwarzenegger. He's probably my personal favorite. If I had to make a list of my favorite action stars, he'd be number 1. And my number 1 is Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. Tom Cruise by far grossed the most, $5.99 billion. Okay,
He's got what, like 7?
Oh, he's got a lot.
No, there's 6 Mission Impossible
6
movies
Mission
and
Impossibles.
2 that have been announced, or he's working on, or whatever.
so how about this? Top Gun, is that action?
Not if you ask Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, so let's say, for argument's sake, I'm going to say Top Gun is an action movie.
Fair enough.
He's got Mission Impossible 6 films, which, by the way, outside of number 2, really, really good franchise.
You know what? I watched the first 2 when they came out. Actually, I think I watched the first one like at a birthday party of mine because it came out right in March, and didn't see one until that one in 2015, Ghost Recon or whatever. I was really pleased with it. I was surprised at how good it was.
They're really good. The last one, excellent. Can I tell you that you're actually missing out on a sleeper one? Number 3.
Really?
Philip Seymour Hoffman plays the villain.
Oh.
Really kind of good. Like, he's not like an imposing villain as like a hand-to-hand combat guy.
Yeah.
But just like their on-screen dialogue together.
Yeah.
Really good. That's a very good one.
But I was pleased with it. And this is action in general. The movies where the hero is either targeted by or the government is going after him or trying to block him make me the most uncomfortable out of every movie situation, like Minority Report. Like, what are you gonna do against the government?
What's that Will Smith movie I probably didn't put on my list?
Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State.
Yeah, Enemy of the
Yep.
State. Yeah. Oh man, just watching those make me uncomfortable.
Because you know it's true.
Well, no, I'm just like, God, how are they gonna get out of this?
'Cause you
It's
believe
like,
it.
it's the freaking government.
Where do they go from here?
But think about this. Last Samurai.
Movie is phenomenal.
It is great. You know what's funny is I was thinking of The Last Samurai. You know who could easily put in that role? Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, 47 Ronin.
Yeah,
Pretty much-
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Because not only
that
would
would have been a preferential role, I think.
because not only do they actually look alike, kind of at
They
that
do
time.
a little bit in that movie anyway.
Collateral, personal favorite. I love anything Michael Mann really does, and he's great as the villain in that movie. Also, brief mention at the very beginning of the movie, if you blink, you might miss Jason Statham as he drops off the briefcase to Tom Cruise at the very beginning of the movie when he arrives at the airport. You're welcome. Valkyrie
Oh yeah, Valkyrie. I never saw that one.
and the Jack Reacher series, which
That
is
was,
actually surprisingly good.
Is that the airship Valkyrie?
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's the World War II.
That's the killing of Hitler.
That's right.
But the Jack Reacher series is a underrated action series, and his character's pretty good. But he's at 5.99 billion. His average per movie is the most at 499, followed by Will Smith at 490, Keanu at 487, and one guy we did not list is Matt Damon at 466.
I thought about him
Yeah,
too.
I thought about that.
But again, that kind of like one trilogy thing, and then what?
Yeah. Other people that we did not put on our list. So Matt Damon is probably number one that we didn't put on there. Bruce Willis did not make anybody's list. Okay. Stallone did, Jackie Chan, Nick Cage, Wesley Snipes. Can I tell you?
I said, I'd be fine putting Bruce Willis in. I'd be fine. Like I said, like the middle of the list is really, 5 is too little.
So can I tell you two of my personal favorites? Steven Seagal, who is probably my favorite, and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Bloodsport.
These guys were great in the 90s. Okay? Well, not really Jean-Claude Van Damme, but Street Fighter, love it.
Oh.
So, okay, so there are some movies on here, though, when we think about some of the classics, like some of my favorites, though, are the obscure movies. So when I think about Steven Seagal, there's a movie he does called Out for Justice,
Yeah.
which is better to me than any of the other movies he does. I also really like Under Siege 2 more than Under Siege 1.
I think a lot of people do, actually.
Yeah. Obviously, Wesley Snipes. I like Passenger 57. Nick Cage. I just love Nick Cage. I thought that 3-movie run is really good. Stallone, Mel Gibson. Oh, I like Mel Gibson, too. I mean, there's a lot of those. My cousin has every Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Oh wow.
He listens to this podcast, so he'll get the shout out. He loves this guy as an actor. I don't know. I love martial arts movies. We don't really have martial arts movies today in the action genre that we did back then.
Bloodsport.
Well, it was 80s, but yeah, excellent.
Yeah. We're going a little bit farther, but yeah.
I mean, his though, I don't know. His is not very good, his IMDb. He kind of gets...
As far as grossing.
Yeah. Either does Kurt Russell, which I love me some Kurt Russell, but outside of Tombstone, he doesn't really have a lot. He's got Stargate, which is probably his most successful.
Well, he was great in that Tarantino movie that just...
Hateful Eight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
I have that on
Escape
here.
from New York.
Escape from New York did well, but that's in the 80s. Escape from LA, really bad.
Yeah.
It only made $25 million.
Yeah, that movie kind of bombed. Because that was like 95.
Think about this.
or
He's got
94, right?
he's got 3-movie run that's horrible here. Escape from LA, $25 million. Soldier, $14 million.
Oh,
Dark
That's-
Blue, $12 million, and Death Proof, $30 million. He doesn't really rebound until he joins the Fast and Furious series or Hateful Eight. Yeah, he
Death
just-
Proof is a remake.
He's got that. Anybody ever see the movie Executive Decision? It's a plane hijacking movie. It stars top billing him and Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: Steven Seagal dies within the first 17 minutes of this movie,
Jeez.
which
You ruined it.
totally shocks everybody. They're trying to board the plane by suctioning to the plane from another plane to go through this tunnel. Tunnel breaks apart, and Steven Seagal goes right out the window. So does Hollywood career. But I mean, it's a really interesting movie
And
because
his
like.
old pants. He had to buy new ones.
Yeah,
Because of the weight gain.
he's at that time he's a huge star actually in the 90s. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about is like I said, women on here, Angelina Jolie, Mila Jovovich, really good. Okay, better performers. I want to talk about top series or trilogy. Let's do this. In your guys' opinions, because out of top series, Fast and Furious so far is number 1 at 4.71 billion. That does not even include Hobbs and Shaw, and does not include the second or third movie. I'm just going specifically on the ones Vin Diesel's been in. Okay, Mission Impossible is 3.5 billion. Matrix is 3 billion. Men in Black is 1.65 billion.
Nice.
Bourne series 1.5 billion. Terminator 1.4 billion, just from the ones that are 1990 to the current. Resident Evil 1.3, Rush Hour 850, Nick Cage trilogy. He's on his own series, but I gave it the Nick Cage trilogy. That's all you're looking for. 804 million.
Is this 1990 or of all time?
1990 to the current.
Oh, okay.
So I want to know, before we come back to your Road Warrior conversation, which series or trilogy do you guys think is the most impressive run, or 3-movie run? I'll give you some options here. You can go with the Matrix trilogy, the John Wick trilogy. You can go with the Nick Cage trilogy. You can go with the run Schwarzenegger has with Total Recall, T2, and True Lies. Okay. Go with Rush Hour. You go with Men in Black, or Expendables, or Blade.
Blade. Well, for me, out of those, choosing parameters, it would be the Matrix for me.
Okay.
I'd have to agree. Based on that, yeah.
So let me ask you this, though. Okay. You believe the Matrix trilogy are 3 better action movies than Total Recall, True Lies, and Terminator 2. When's the last time you've seen Terminator 2?
I'm basing that off of just popularity of what I thought at the time.
Your favorite, your opinion.
Okay, sorry. What was the question?
I'm asking you your preference of a 3-movie run, whether it's a trilogy, a series, or the Nick Cage trilogy, or Arnold Schwarzenegger's 3 movies at the beginning of the 1990s.
I would rather watch the Matrix trilogy as a whole. Yeah.
Joe, you say that same thing?
Yep.
Come on, Conway, don't let me down.
You know, if I gotta go purely off personal preference, it's gotta be Blade. Like, I love
Blade
those
trilogy.
movies.
Nice.
I love those
Man.
movies. Like I told you yesterday, the CGI doesn't hold up. Like, for the first 1 and 2 especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, I just love... And I remember as a kid watching them, and, like, they're just great films, I think.
I guess we didn't say the Bourne trilogy. We could put the Bourne trilogy in there, too.
True.
I'm going to go with the Nick Cage trilogy. I think that Con Air, Face Off, and The Rock are just
I knew you were
awesome
gonna say
movies.
that.
I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Terminator 2 is one of my all-time favorite action movies. It might even be number 1. But, man...
They're all standalones versus a full... I mean, if you're getting technical...
If you're a Nick Cage fan, that's a trilogy.
Yeah.
His career, that's his
I'll give you
career.
that.
Like,
Yeah,
he's a
pretty
trilogy.
I mean, he's not...
Raising
It's not
Arizona.
like he has that great a range anyway.
No, he does
So,
have an
like-
Academy Award, though.
Leaving Las Vegas,
Thank you,
which
yeah.
is an interesting film, by the way.
Okay,
too.
so let's do this. Let's finish this up. I know we probably went really long tonight, so sorry for you still listening. Road Warrior. You argued that Road Warrior is the...
I think it's the best action film of all time.
Do you have an opinion on what you think is the best action film of all time?
I don't. I'd have to take a full retrospect on like what we reviewed tonight.
If I just put the action gun to your head and said, pick one, if one just came to you...
Random response, full Rumble in the Bronx. Rumble in the Bronx. Jackie Chan.
Okay.
Love it.
Fair enough.
When was the last time you saw it?
That's a good
It might
question.
be on Netflix right now.
I just watched Drunken Master.
Okay.
On that, yeah, that's another good
I just
one.
remember how entertaining that actually was.
Hold on. You think Rumble in the Bronx is better than Die Hard?
You just put a metaphorical gun to
Yeah,
my
yeah,
head.
but I'm saying best all-time
Maybe
action
go to
movie.
Joe and then...
Yeah, I'll come back to you, Nate.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Point in another direction.
All right, Joe. Point it at you.
Yeah, I've actually thought about this before. It's also in the Mad Max realm, but it would actually be Fury Road.
He's a big fan.
Okay.
Big
no,
fan of Fury Road,
I am
so-
too. I am too.
I love the fact that that's why I got so excited when you said
Yeah.
that the original Road Warrior was your favorite because, yes, I love Mad Max.
The pacing of Fury Road is very similar to Road Warrior. They're like with a couple tweaks here
Yeah.
and there. They're almost the same.
They're like mirror images of each other. in
Yeah,
a
they
way.
really are.
Yes. Oh, so good.
I'm gonna go with my okay. So my favorite action movie, man, it's a toss-up. I love Terminator 2, but I really like The Rock with Sean Connery, Nick Cage, and Ed Harris. That's really good. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm just gonna go with The Rock as my favorite action movie.
Okay.
Again, I think I've seen that more than any other movie.
What about Bad Boys 2? Oh no, that was in the theater. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
per like just watching and on VHS, so rewinding that stupid
Sure.
thing.
Where the tape at?
Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, I thought it was just such a good movie. And to be fair, Michael Biehn
Oh, yep.
As he's a personal favorite of this podcast.
Yep,
Michael
very
Biehn
true.
makes an appearance. He just walked into the wrong shower. You know. Okay, Nate, coming back.
Full circle. What do you got for me?
Same question. Favorite action movie of
It'd
all
be
time.
funny
Of all time.
if you turn the podcast off right before he answered.
My favorite is
You really don't have an... You really...
Terminator 2.
Okay.
It's a good choice.
That's
He-
very
that's-
fair.
Pinch in the arm.
Oh, you know
answer.
what I didn't think of?
He put that down just so I got off his back about it.
What do you think about RoboCop
Oh,
as an action movie? RoboCop.
Oh, we didn't even bring up RoboCop.
it was short-lived. It was enjoyable while it lasted.
You didn't
I
bring
don't
up Carl
know.
Urban.
I know, I was going to originally. He was one of my honorable mentions. But
Carl Urban?
reviewing his filmography, I didn't know if I could count his reboot of Dread. And
Doom.
Yep, he's
What
in.
else is he in?
Okay, hold on.
He's in
Riddick.
He's in Lord of the Rings.
He's in Chronicles
Oh,
of Riddick.
Rid-
He's
yeah,
in Doom.
Doom.
You're right. I forgot about Doom. He's in Doom. He's in
That was a
Dread.
horrible movie. They
He's
did-
in Bourne Supremacy.
Okay.
He's in the second. He's the villain in the
Nice.
second Bourne movie.
Oh,
He's
nice,
like the
okay.
assassin.
Yeah, so I don't know. Make a pretty strong argument there. He's got some good roles. A lot of them are supporting roles. So if we're also viewing this, we didn't really circle back directly to solo versus ensemble.
Oh,
If you'd still
that's-
like to do
no,
that,
I do.
because that's a good
I
segue
do.
for it. Like someone who can carry their own movie by themselves
Yeah.
versus the ensemble.
Should we
cast.
hold more weight though? So like Joe said, the idea that a guy can carry his own movie, because like I said, Jason Statham is great looking at this. If you look at Jason Statham's IMDb, and some of these movies are great on here. If I can find my list of him here. The One, Transporter, Transporter 2, Crank, War, Death Race, Mechanic, kind of movies where he's the star of them. Don't gross over $100 million. None of them did. None of them grossed over $100 million. He joins Expendables and Fast and Furious, and he's at 800 million, 300 million, billion. I mean, he joins an ensemble cast and immediately just skyrockets. And it's kind of that argument of, you know, you look at Stallone's movies post 1990 till he joins an ensemble. Okay, I mean, same thing. Will Smith, not really an ensemble cast unless you talk about Suicide Squad. The Rock did join an ensemble cast. The only kind of surprising, interesting guys that aren't part of the ensemble casts, probably Will Smith, right? Can you think of any other ensemble he's a part of?
Well, you already mentioned Suicide Squad, but outside of that, I mean...
Because if not, then the only person that's not part of an ensemble cast is Keanu Reeves. That's in the top. Followed by Matt Damon,
Yep.
who's carrying his own stuff. The Bourne trilogy is really good. Do you guys have a character preference that you think is the best character?
Action character.
And to be fair, we also completely did not mention a single James Bond film.
It's true. We did not.
If I
But
were
we
taking like,
excluded the comic book movies too.
if I
Yeah,
were plucking a character out of nowhere, and I don't know if this falls in the 1990s, like my categorization falls into Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando.
Okay.
Is that not like the perfect action hero where he just fucking throws
Yeah.
grenades like left and right and like stuff blows up all over the place?
Come on, did so good till then. now I gotta edit.
Mark it.
We're gonna see if we can let that one slide without putting the explicit sign on this episode, Nate.
Sorry.
Okay.
Don't blame me. Blame
I'm surprised
Commando.
I didn't do it first.
We were very worried about Ryan.
Playing
Okay.
not it over here.
Yeah.
Any other things to add, gentlemen?
Oh, man. I did have one more honorable mention, I guess I wanted to throw out.
Go ahead.
Not to circle back to a bunch of honorable mentions, but Charlize Theron.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I wanted to include her in my actual list because every movie she's a part of that she is in an action role, she crushes it. Absolutely fantastic.
Better than Jolie?
in it. I'm not sure I'd say better than Jolie necessarily, but you got her in Fury Road.
Yep.
She's absolutely fantastic in Atomic Blonde.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Earlier on in her career, Aeon Flux, which I think
Yeah.
Aeon Flux and Ultraviolet came out fairly close to each
Very,
other. I
and
want to say.
yeah, I think so.
But overall, I think any action movie that she's in, she does a great job with all of those roles, the choreography, the fight choreography, the stunts, all of it. So I wanted to make sure I threw that out there too.
Okay.
It's the last closing thought I've got.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe. Because you picked Keanu and because John Wick is so popular and The Matrix seemed to do so well, what we're going to tell you guys is our next week's episode, we're going to go back to a movie review of the first Matrix movie.
Yes.
So if you guys, I believe it's on Netflix right now, is that correct? So you can go out there and watch it right now. So when we do review it, you can obviously, when you listen to the podcast episode, you know what's going on if you haven't seen it in a while. I have not seen it in a while, so I'm kind of excited for this.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too, admittedly. So.
Yeah. Ryan, I don't know if you'll be here for our next week's. You might be heading back home.
Oh, I'll be leaving. Yeah.
Okay. But we might try to get Ryan back on a couple different times if we can't Skype him in here. Any other things to add, guys?
Negative.
Perfect. Well, we would like you guys to go out to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, leave us a comment. It helps with kind of the exposure of the podcast there. Tell your friends, tell your family. Get at us at Twitter on @AlienandCowboy. Email us aliensandcowboys@gmail.com with questions, comments, concerns. Again,
Tell me everything I'm doing right.
tell him everything he's doing wrong. In fact, we'd like your guys' list. If you guys can put together a list of 5 people, let us know. We'd like to compare them.
Yeah.
We'd like to tell you where you're wrong.
I'd be interested to hear who we missed, though.
Yeah, if we did miss anybody you guys can think of, again, not Nate's criteria for 1990s. We're saying 1990 to the current biggest action star. I would think the only one that we probably missed is Denzel.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'd throw him more in the drama, though.
Yeah, but
He's more of a genre-bending...
But he's got, or even arguably Ryan Reynolds.
We didn't talk about Liam Neeson and his
Ryan
movie
Reynolds?
Renaissance.
Yeah, or Sam
about Liam
Sam Jackson.
Sam Jackson. Okay, so this
he was on my list. Honorable mention. 90s.
It's true.
All right, let's just start over. So, guys, we'll just keep going from here and talk about these 3. Just kidding. Until then, guys, we'll be back next week with The Matrix. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.